My name is Jessica and I am part of the Law Students Council 2022 at UCT, and I am here today to join you on your open day session online. It's unfortunate that we can't see each other in person, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more during the session about my experience at law school and to hopefully answer some questions that you have about Kramer and about law school at UCT. With me today, there will be 5 other members, and they are my colleagues from the Law Students Council at UCT, and we will be working together today to be speaking to all of you and to be answering some questions that you might have, and hopefully to be providing a clear path on your queries or your concerns about having to enter UCT's law school. And yes, this is it so far from my side as an introduction. I'm not sure if so my colleagues are currently joining, sorry. My colleagues are on their way, they will be here soon. For now, I'm not sure if there's anything that you would like me to, any questions that I need to answer?
Hi Jessica, it's Gaby here. And I just wanted to add in that if anyone, I hope that people who are in the session now have been in the previous sessions and know that if there are any questions they want to share or to ask, they can just pop them into the Q&A and we will answer them with text responses, or when you, as members of the Law Students Council, when you ask what the questions are, then we can share those. So I haven't seen any yet. We might have one. Oh. Someone has said they can't hear, but I hope that has been sorted now. Perhaps that person would let us know if they're continuing sound issues. I can certainly hear you, Jessica. Yeah, and we don't have any questions yet, but I would just go right ahead with the session that you have planned. Thanks. We hear that the sound is okay.
Okay, that is good to know. And we're also keeping an eye on the live event Q&A. So if anyone does have any questions, definitely go for it and I will try my best to answer it. Okay, wait, I see a question. What is the most difficult adjustment from high school to law school? So I think to answer that question, actually the workload and the way that university functions. So when you're in high school, I think the first thing about law school is that sometimes there's a lot to take in at once because you're doing everything for the first time and we have a schedule to keep to and everything is very busy. So there's a lot of workload that you need to adjust to in a very short amount of time. And it's different from high school in the sense that sometimes you'll figure out at the end of matric that you've been in high school for a long time. So you're used to everything, you're used to doing the work, you're used to knowing where everything is, but getting to Kramer for the first time or coming into law school for the first time, everything is quite overwhelming. So I would say that the most difficult thing to adjust to would be the intense change between the atmosphere and the workload. The second question that I see, I just quickly want to say, my colleagues, I see that, there we go, Lita is with us. My colleague is here with us. There we go, Lita. Hi, Lita. I think I'm going to first let you do an introduction and then we will carry on with the questions.
Okay, thanks, Jess. Sorry I'm late. I was having a technical difficulty. Hi, everyone. I am Lita Msanga and I'm a member of the Law Students Council at UCT. I hope we can welcome a few of you next year.
Okay, thank you very much, Lita. I don't know if you can see, but there's a live Q&A session going on and I'm basically just answering questions right now. So I'm going to read the next question. The first question was, what's the most difficult adjustment from high school to law school? The second question is, how do you handle a typical day with studying this degree? How stressful is it? And is it hard to cope sometimes? Lita, would you like to answer this question?
Okay, cool. The adjustment from high school to law school, look, I think it differs from person to person, because if you're someone who generally has a really good work ethic, I don't think that handling the workload will be that difficult. It is significantly more work than you would have experienced in high school, but I don't think that it is something that you're not capable to do. I think the one thing that got me through first year was sort of telling myself that I wouldn't have been accepted into law school if I wasn't capable, or that I wasn't um, someone who could do the work. So I think it got me through first year. However, the only thing that the biggest shift really was the results. I wasn't getting the 90s that I was getting in matric. I wasn't seeing the results that I was seeing in high school because law work is really difficult and it is different, right? But I'm not saying that every single student experiences it the same way as I did. There are students who do get those distinctions, but it shouldn't be it's not failure to fail one test or to get like a low mark. It's part of the process. It's part of the learning process, and part of becoming a lawyer and going through law school. So there are a lot of challenges, I would say, but I think that was probably the biggest thing that I had to learn to adjust to from high school. Yeah, it really does differ from person to person. I think, Jess, you can jump in because I came into law school when pre-COVID. So I know how it felt like to come to law school and have friends there for me. So for me, and I find it that working with other people to get work done is and to sort of consolidate the work that we've been doing does make a difference in terms of your success in law school. But then you get those students who have been doing extremely well and well enough, and they came into law school during COVID. So I think Jess would have had a different experience to myself because she came into law school during COVID.
Most definitely. I think what Lita is saying is 100% true. I came into law school online completely, and I can tell you for a fact that the first week was an absolute mess because you're not with anyone. You're literally in your room and you're trying to sort of find your way around emails and around attending university when you're not actually at the university. So I just want to quickly see what the question was again. How stressful was it? So in terms of stressfulness, it was quite a bit stressful, but once you get into it and once you start familiarizing yourself with the way law school works, you'll see that it becomes less stressful. You'll obviously have different stresses and different stress levels in different weeks, because some weeks you'll have more assessments, whereas some weeks it'll just be work that you need to attend, lectures and things like that. So the stress levels do vary, but I think once you get yourself familiar with everything in law school, it should definitely go better. And the first week would probably be the most stressful week, I would say. Moving on, I just want to see that I missed a question here. It says subject requirements to study law. There is a law handbook. You can even Google it. If you just type in UCT law handbook, it should give you a handbook in which it tells you what the requirements are for you to get into law school. There's no specific subject requirements in terms of having to take specific, like for medicine, for example, you need to do physics or life science or things like that. I think you just need to take English and you need to reach a certain minimum level for English and maths or maths lit. So you just need to make sure what subjects you're taking, what marks you need to get in order for you to get into law school. But if you go into Google and you just type in UCT law handbook, there should be a handbook for all faculties and you'll find the requirements of everything in detail in that handbook. Moving on to the next question. Sorry, I just want to find it. There's someone that says, yeah, I want to apply for Bachelor of Social Sciences and then apply to law later. Can I do this? Sorry, before that, I see Tsegofatso has joined our session. So I would like to open the floor to Tsegofatso and Corey as well. Corey and Tsegofatso, if you could do a short introduction for us. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Tsego. I'm also part of the Law Student Council, and this is my second year of taking law.
Thank you very much for that, Tsego. We will then, can I please ask Corey, maybe Corey or Mwaka, whoever wants to go for first? Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the delay in joining the meeting. So I finally got in a good connection. So if you can't hear me, my deepest apologies. So my name is Mwaka Mukata, as I already mentioned. I'm a second-year law student, so that's Prelim B, and I'm currently the Vice President External of the Law Students Council. I'll hand over to Corey.
Yeah, hey guys. Sorry about joining late. I was having some connection issues. Final year law students, just finishing up this year. It's been quite a journey, very rewarding, stressful, but it's a good program. You learn a lot during this program. I highly recommend it. If you're interested in studying law, you probably should.
Okay, so just to catch the rest of the team up to speed, we are looking at questions that's being asked inside of the live Q&A, and one of the questions that I just asked before everyone joined is that someone's asking that they want to study a Bachelor of Social Sciences and then apply to law later. Is that possible to do? I was going to give the floor to Lita to answer this question. Lita?
Sorry, Jess, could you please repeat the question again?
The question is that—
I can answer that question also.
Sorry, the question is that there's a student that wants to study Bachelors of Social Science and then move to law. Is that possible?
Yes, it is possible. However, in order for you to do that, obviously you have to get into the Bachelor of Social Science, and then you take your first year of the BSOC Sci, and then towards the end of the first year, you will apply using your GPA from your first year, which has to be a minimum of 65%. In order for you to actually meet the requirements to get into law school. It is very competitive, and we actually saw that this year, where a large number of students who did get, not really a large number of students, but there were students who got above 65% that didn't get into law school because, there were so many students applying to law school this year for the combined stream. We call it the combined stream, when you do the 2 different degrees at once. And with that large number of students, it meant that, they were taking the highest, those with the highest aggregates, and there were quite a few. So I think the person with the lowest at this year was someone in the 70s. It's I think something like 73 or 70, or like 68. So you have to work very hard because it is quite competitive. So you have to strive to get above that 65% minimum requirement, but you can, it's very doable.
Thank you very much for that, Lita. I see Corey wants to say something. I'm not sure if the line will be to Corey.
Yeah, I also wanted to add that doing a postgrad LOB is a lot. Not a lot, but it's a bit more difficult because you have less time to do it. If you come in straight as an undergraduate doing your LOB, you have 4 years to complete your degree. If you come in as a postgraduate, your degree is condensed into 3 years. So that's something to consider.
Thank you very much for that, Corey. Sorry, I'm just waiting to see where the live bubble is now. Okay. So the next 2 questions, I think I'll be able to answer because they're quite straightforward. So one person has asked, what funding do you offer for the LLB degree? As far as I know, the only funding for first year LLB at this moment, usually, or not at this moment, but usually that you can get for first year is for NSFAS funding or for any other type of university funding. They're usually listed on the UCT website. However, funding for the LLB degree normally comes in more towards your second and third year, because in your first year, you'll see towards the end, you'll start getting emails from the faculty where they'll tell you there's certain funding or scholarships or bursaries that you can apply for. So you just need to keep an eye out for your email. The faculty will always let you know when there's funding, and they'll lead you to the relevant websites and what you need to do. Secondly, someone has asked, I wanted to know with regards to being a law student, do you need to apply using your grade 11 marks, or can you apply for law using your grade 12 marks? As far as I know, you need both your grade 11 and grade 12 marks. When you do the application, they will ask you for both your grade 11 and your grade 12 marks. Especially now when you start application, they'll ask you to provide your grade 11 report, and then they will ask you to provide your grade 12 report, I think, until the first and or second term, depending on when you apply. And then when you write your finals, the university usually will get your final results, and then they will let you know via email if you have been accepted. I'm going to open the floor for the next question. Someone is asking, do you enjoy studying law and do you have any regrets? Sorry, is there any takers? Are there any takers for this question? Mwaka wants to answer this question. Mwaka and Lita?
No, not this question. I just wanted to respond to the previous question about the requirements regarding the grades that you need to submit, whether it's for grade 11 grades or metric grades. So the simple answer to this is what Jessica has already answered. But if you're an international student, you'd obviously need to have done your A-levels. Well, it depends on the requirements, but on the UCT website, it stipulates that international students need the A-level results to be submitted as well as their final grade 12 or metric equivalent results. So yeah, that's just an answer to the previous question. I'll hand over to Lita now.
Thanks, Mwaka. So basically, I do enjoy studying law. I mean, as much as one can say they enjoy studying law, it is a very difficult degree. I think that goes without saying, right? However, I think what my biggest regret is that when I came into uni, there was the option of doing the 5-year program, right? So basically, I was accepted into the mainstream program for the 4 years. And I think I never and then in first year we wrote the first test, and after that first test they opened it up. They gave us the option of sort of switching to either the 5-year program, which is the extended degree, or staying in the mainstream degree, and vice versa. And for me, I think at the time I didn't know what challenges I could potentially run into throughout my degree that would cause my degree to be extended, which is what actually did happen. So circumstance led me to extend my degree. At the time, I thought, no ways, I have to graduate in record time, and I don't want to extend. I don't want to be here for longer than I need to be, and I didn't extend my degree. But actually, it would have proven to be more beneficial for me personally had I extended my degree when they gave me the option to do so, because of the way the 5YP is planned out. So I think that's my biggest regret, not taking that opportunity at the time, so that I could actually have some room to breathe and sort of actually not rush myself into getting this degree, not knowing what I could, what problems and obstacles I could have along the way.
There's a bit
No,
of a delay.
please go for it, Corey.
Yeah, I was just gonna add. I would say that the degree is definitely challenging. It's doable. You just have to have the kind of that degree of dedication to get through it. I came through with a previous degree, and I would say that if you are coming as a postgrad, you have to sort of like unlearn certain things and relearn certain things. Like it's a different way of studying academics in law. If you're coming from the humanities, it's different. It's a different way of thinking. So that's all I want to add.
Thank you very much. Tsehofatso?
I wanted to say, yeah, I definitely do enjoy law. I don't regret it. It very much is interesting. However, I decided to take it through the combined stream. So I'm a double major, so I take law and French. So it's a bit tricky trying to balance both. I obviously don't have as much time as I would like to invest in my law studies or in my French studies, because I have to give them both an equal amount of attention. But I don't regret it. It's just, if you are thinking of doing law to the combined stream, it's something to think about, that the workload is much more, and you're going to have to balance two different degrees, basically.
Thank you very much for that, Tsehofatso. I do want to say that Gaby is in the chat, and Gaby is answering questions in the chat. Thank you very much for that, Gaby. So some of the questions I'm just going to quickly skim through. Someone asked, if you write matric through IEB, does it affect your score application? And like Gaby has said in the chat, there are mechanisms for adjusting scores and results to make sure that everything's equal. So don't worry about that. Then we move on to the next question. Someone has asked, what were your high school results like? Anybody keen to share? I see no takers inside of the chat. I think in terms of high school results, Mwaka, Sehofatso. So let me first give it to Mwaka.
I'm not so sure if the question wants me to give my actual results, but all I would say is you need to really, just try to get the highest marks possible. Because remember, even if you meet the requirement that they want, you might not get in because there might be people that get even above that requirement. So my advice would be just work hard. Don't even focus on, oh my gosh, I need to be on the 44. Like, for example, international students need to get in between 44 to 46. But for me, I strive to get like 48, right? Because I knew that it's required of me and I have to go above and beyond to, get into law school. So just work hard, work extremely hard, and then you definitely get in.
Thank you very much, Mark. I'm going to give it to Sehofatso next.
I think Morga covered what I wanted to say.
Okay, then Corey, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah. So this is more of like towards the postgrad side of things. I came as a postgrad, so I started as a postgrad. What I will say is, if you want to be strategic, it might be advantageous for you to, if you want to do like if you don't have the high school grades, it might be advantageous for you to do an undergrad in something else, perhaps a course that isn't extremely taxing, so you can get the highest possible mark you can. Just work extremely hard in that particular field. Then once you apply with those undergraduate results, then you'll have it's still going to be competitive, but you'll have a higher chance of actually being admitted if you don't feel comfortable with your high school grades. So that's something to think about.
Thank you very much for that, Corey and Mwaka and Sehofatso. I do also want to say, sorry, I'm just checking for the live bubble. I do also want to say on my side, though, that it is extremely competitive because Kramer is tiny. I think if you compare our classes and the extent of our classes to the other faculties, we're actually very tiny. So it is very competitive because of how small we are as a class. I also see that we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly just look through. So just some general questions that we can combine. Someone has asked, what do your study schedules look like? And there's another person that asked that they're seeing on TikTok that law students have no social life. So do we have a social life, firstly? And what are our study schedules like? I see Corey is very eager to answer. Corey, go for it, please.
Yeah, I was a social butterfly before I started in Kramer. I must be honest. I'm not so much anymore. I'm a nerd. I'm in the library 10 hours a day at least. I'm at campus now. I'm probably gonna go study after this. I'm watching my daughter right now. She's asleep, but I'm gonna take her home and I'm gonna have to come back and study some more. My schedule right now is I'm taking 8 classes. I'm carrying one from last year, so the typical final year schedule is 7 classes per semester. So I'm carrying 8. Those are from 3 to 6 in the evenings, but in the mornings you want to be preparing for those classes. So really, I think ideally a person will get to Kramer around 10 o'clock at the latest and be studying for their 3 o'clock classes up until that time. And then you have your electives that are typically in the mornings. So you want to prepare for those. Sometimes I'll stay a bit later after 6 and prepare for my tutorials if I have a tutorial the following morning. So I'll do it like that, or sometimes I'll do it over the weekend. But it's you gotta fit it in somehow. So it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie, but it's doable. People are doing it. I'm doing it, so you can do it. It's possible.
Thank you very much, Corey. Lita, you had a hand up. I'm not sure if you still want to go.
Yes, everything Corey has said is exactly, it's true. But what I was gonna add is that sorry about that. I have people here. But I was just gonna add that there are people though who do have very balanced lives. People who play sports, people who go out, people who do everything and still achieve, like people in leadership still achieve the most. So you can do it. You can have a social life. It just depends on the kind of person you are. You just need to balance. You just need to look at what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Thank you very much for that, Lita. Tsefofatso, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I agree with Lita. The only thing I can add is it really is possible to have a social life. You just, if you're organized and you're able to limit your procrastination and, just get to your work and do it, then you can make time to go out and see your friends. It's just about having a balance. And it is healthy to have a balance. It's not healthy to always be within your books. You need to go out every now and then, just, so you can keep sane as well.
Thank you very much for that, Corey. I see that there are a few questions here that are asking, how did we know that law was the way to go for us? I think I'm going to quickly answer that question from my side. I often joke about it, and I tell my friends from other faculties when they tell me that law is a lot, that I said I'd rather be reading cases at this moment than doing calculus. And so even if it does become hard, you'll see that law school does get to a point where everything is so much that you might not enjoy the content as much. But if you ever get to a point in your life where you can sit down and say, I'd rather be doing this than something else, then to a certain extent, you still know that you have a passion for it, despite the work being a lot. So you will know, I think when you sit down and think of it at the end of matric towards the end, or even now, you will know that something is right for you by simply knowing how much you enjoy something in school. So if you really do enjoy doing like maths, for example, and science, then maybe, things like engineering and stuff will be suited better for you. But that's just my 2 cents on this. I'm going to pass the baton over to Tsefofatso again, and then we'll move on to Corey.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly what Jessica said, if you know that you're good at math, then look towards a mathematical degree. But for me, math was never my strong suit. I was a person who did well in terms of the literature side of things. I did enjoy reading. I did public speaking and debating, and I enjoyed those. So I did know that law was the route to go. I'm glad I took law. But also, if you haven't gone job shadowing, I would advise doing so, just so you can know that you're making the right decision. Before I decided I wanted to take law, I thought I was going to be an engineer. Like from the beginning of high school until grade 11, I was like, I'm going to do engineering. Then I went job shadowing for engineering, and I was like, nope, can't be me. And that's when I decided to change paths.
Thank you very much, Tsefofatso. Corey, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. For me, my academic journey has been a bit exploratory. So I started off as a business major way back when, first year. Didn't like it. After that first year, I changed over to philosophy, and I graduated with a degree in philosophy. This is in the United States. I graduated with a degree in philosophy. I minored in sociology. So that sort of pushed me into politics. I was interested in politics after that. That's when I came here to South Africa originally to do my master's in politics, and I finished that. And I don't know. It seemed like law was like a natural progression. You go from philosophy, you start learning about the history of political ideas, and then you go into political science and you learn about politics, obviously, and then you go into law. So I don't know. I kind of just, it was like a river. I was just like, just along for the ride. So here I am now.
Thank you very much for that, Corey. I just want to mention that someone in your chat said that your baby's very cute, but I do want to say that our time is unfortunately up, so I'm going to give it back to Gaby, and we will end the session off. From our side, I just want to say from the LSC side, thank you very much for attending the session, and it was really it was a really fun session for us, and we really enjoyed it. We hope that you enjoyed it, and that it was an informative and a good session for you too. Gaby, yes.
Thanks, Jess, and thanks to the LSC. Just from the faculty side, we really appreciate you as students. We understand your schedule, so in response to all the questions, it's a hard life, So thanks for making time to come and answer some of these questions. And to all our participants, please have a look on the, if you just Google UCT Law, our site will come up. Have a look there for FAQs. We're going to take the questions from the session and we'll put it onto our website. So if your question wasn't answered, you can go there to have a look for answers. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.